You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. The 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has announced the formation of a coalition of opposition political parties to challenge President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 election. Atiku made the declaration yesterday at a press conference held at the Yar'Adua Centre in Abuja, where he spoke on behalf of opposition party leaders.
Parties in the country.
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Amadin Uyi. I'm with News Central Television. Sir, this coalition speaking against the events in Rivers State. The last time we have seen representatives from the major opposition parties, the PDP, the SDP, and the Labour Party. We know that in politics, sometimes it takes one event for politicians to rise up in unison to say enough is enough. And the last time we saw this kind of coalition was prior to the 2015 general elections. Sir, are we seeing this united front go ahead into the 2027 general election, thus assuming is the birth of a major opposition against the APC? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, the event which brought together key opposition figures also served as a platform to denounce Tinubu's recent state of emergency declaration in Rivers State. Atiku, alongside former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, Labour Party spokesperson Yunusa Tanko, and former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Emeka Ihedioha described the emergency rule as unconstitutional and an attack on democracy. Well, right now, let's take our time to also mention that the coalition indeed will also looked into the decision of the suspension of the governor of Rivers State. But let's go straight into this conversation right now as we bring our guest who joins us very quickly all the way from Makurdi. We do have Dr. Yunusa Tanko, a member of the coalition. Welcome and thank you so much this morning for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. So for a broader perspective and for the benefit of our viewers, what is this coalition? One major question has been asked since yesterday. Is a coalition a political party, or is it just individuals, which of course we've said and known, coming together to denounce what has been happening, especially in this current administration? And let me put it in the right perspective. The members of this coalition, are they planning to form a political party?
Well, at the moment, it is very clear that there are leaders who have contested election, and some of them who are members of other political parties, or who have come out to challenge the status quo. I remember very well His Excellency Peter Obi has always said that if we are to coalesce with people, to join force together with different other individuals for the purpose of fighting for Nigeria, fighting in such a way, challenging the status quo in such a way that it replicates the issue of health, it replicates the issue of security, the political survival of the country, as it were, to talk about education and pulling people out of poverty. Those are the key issues in which he will be ready to engage. And so therefore, we are of the belief that this particular discussion that took place yesterday will be in line with such aspiration of His Excellency Peter Gregory Obi. And the target is the people first, because there is this complete neglect of the Nigerian people as against the interests of groups and individuals who do not care about the survival of the people. A case in study is what happened in Rivers State. And we all are aware that once a situation of personal interest and selfish and greedy interests of individuals. It is the people that actually suffer. As we stand today, when you look at the constitutional provision, you may want to look at what is the provisions that gave birth to this state of emergency in the states, and the people who are residing therein be the beneficiary or the protected individuals at the end of this selfish and greedy attempt to grab power. So for us, it's a very important discussion based on those particular factors that I mentioned earlier on.
Now, Mr. Yunusa, we've seen the historical rivalry between Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and former Governor Peter Obi in the past. How realistic is this coalition? Can they hold together in unison before 2027? Looking at the heavyweights and personalities involved, because every one of them, even Madam Nasir El-Rufai, is fit to run for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So how soon do you think they can keep this united front up until 2027?
Every Nigerian that have met the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has the right to run for election within his purview. And one thing that needs to be made clear is that everything that has to do with the interests of the Nigerian people, which is the key word, of course, we will sustain this particular struggle. It is evident that every attempt by this particular government is to truncate democracy. Truncating democracy in such a way that it makes the people look very stupid, if I may use the word. Because on a continuous basis, they keep on trampling on the rules and regulation of the engagement with level of high disdain. And that, of course, will bring in more people to join forces together to challenge this particular unhealthy and unacceptable position of this government. And that, of course, is the situation at the moment. So we will continue as a group to continue to challenge the status quo until the right thing is done. For us is to ensure that democracy that we all enjoy at the moment is not truncated, neither is being stiffened. The voice of the people cannot continue to be stiffened by individuals. Let me make this assertion. There is this narrative in the public domain that the president is a master of the game. He can manipulate anything that he or she wants and then get results. But let me admonish and try to encourage Nigerians that there is no master of any game as long as this particular game is not in the interest of the people, because they are in the majority. They can challenge and say no to impunity and to level of disdain. So Nigerians should be well aware that nobody can continue to hold the country at ransom because of his personal interest and his greed against the Nigerian people. And that will not stand. So as far as we are concerned, we will continue to energize the people to do the right thing based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, I would say it's a mixed reaction, especially from Nigerians, seeing what took place yesterday, especially during the press conference. And Nigerians are wondering if it's going to be yet another, show where people come together, speak, and yet it's all talk and no action. And yet at the same time, each person would be looking forth to see his own interests. Can you speak a little bit more on the interest the interest. Why we say the interest, it's because you do have Nasir El-Rufai, who has just moved to a new political party, the SDP. And you also have the PDP struggling with its own crisis. And Labour Party seems to be one party that has remained very troubled in terms of being in troubled waters. So how do you think the coalition should be taken seriously, looking at the fact that they've not been able to solve their own internal crisis, and yet here they are pushing for a front to solve the crisis of the nation? This is getting a lot of persons talking, you know.
Okay. I'm sure you've watched the videos and then you watched the presentation. There was no single political party chairman at that particular sitting. None. There were only individuals who have run for election and some other members of that political party, like in my intro. So that is to tell you that this is an upfront mobilization of capable Nigerians who can speak in the interest of the Nigerian people. When the time comes for a political party or political party involvement, that will also be announced. But at the moment, the issue is about fighting for the soul of Nigeria. And that is exactly what we are doing. Interest, of course, will come in. But at the moment now, the most important interest is to save our democracy and save the country from anarchy and total destruction.
Now, how do you save the country from anarchy and total destruction? Does this coalition has a clear, identified policy agenda beyond just, you know, let's oppose the president? Because the last time Nigerians did this, vote Jonathan out by all means necessary. We had a mega party, the CPC came together, ACN, and they formed APC. Just looking at a decade plus down the line, what the results has been. So Nigerians are being more circumspect. Are these guys just doing this for their own interest, for the sake of let's just oppose the president and remove it? Is there a clear policy agenda by this coalition to save Nigeria?
Now, clearly, I've mentioned those particular agenda that joined us together. It's not only about fighting for position of power.
A document that Nigerians
clearly,
can see, the transparency, a written document so that Nigerians can scrutinize.
Oh, of course, that will be presented at a later time. But the most important thing that you need to know is about the survival of the country. And individuals, we are talking about the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You're talking about the former governor of Anambra State, who is a front runner with the Nigerian youth, 12.5 million of them almost in the kitty. You're talking about Madam Nasir El-Rufai. You're talking about Emeka Ihedioha. You're talking about a lot of Nigerians who are at that particular meeting. And you will also know that this particular person are not playing and we are not joking. Anything that has to do with the survival, because most of us have fought diligently for democracy. And to see that democracy is being trampled upon directly by personal interest and greed, that is totally unacceptable. There is no quarters in this country that have not condemned this particular attempt to truncate the democracy and probably making this particular unacceptable pronouncement in Rivers State. And then you look at the whole thing within the National Assembly and all. There was no single very cohesive debate with regard to the removal of that particular, with the removal of the governor of Rivers State. There was no single debate, and there is a particular provision that says certain amount of percentage. There was no voting that took place. That is totally against. So what you are having is that unconstitutionality being meant on the constitutionality. That is wrong, completely wrong. And we will not stand only to make only press statement, but of course we will take it further to ensure that the right thing is done. They have now kicked off attack on the Nigerian people and our democracy. And as a Democrat, we will resist this particular very heinous crime against the people. And that is totally a found fact. So any documentation, any provisions that need to be made to ensure that you understand that the target is not about power grabbing. No, we have made it very, very clear. The idea is to ensure that we have a nascent democracy that will be enjoyed by every Nigerian, irrespective of whether you are in position of power or not.
All right. Anyway, we do get it now, and I want to say thank you so much, National Coordinator for the Obedient Movement and member of Coalition, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, for joining us. Thanks for speaking deeply on this and expanding on it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.